In today's video, we bring you an inspiring story of two people from completely different walks of life, Matthew the taxi driver and the lost woman. Despite their contrasting worlds, a single act of kindness in the midst of a snowstorm brings them together in a way neither of them expected. This story is a reminder that sometimes the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact. Join us as we explore how compassion, human connection, and the willingness to help others can change lives and even entire worlds. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring content like this. On a winter evening, snow began to fall heavily, blanketing the streets and casting a hazy glow under the dim street lights. Matthew, a seasoned taxi driver accustomed to the city's icy silence at this hour, drove slowly through the desolate streets. His old, worn-out cab, having served faithfully for many years, was his sole source of income in a life filled with struggles. Long days of work stretching from dawn until late at night, scarce passengers, and endless waits for calls were an unchanging routine for him. At this moment, his eyes were fixed on the road ahead, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly, bracing against the biting cold seeping through the window cracks. He was about to head home for a much-needed rest when he noticed a figure on the sidewalk, a woman clutching a small child, shivering in the snow. Their clothing was inadequate for the freezing weather, and the woman's eyes reflected a mix of fear and desperation. Matthew quickly realized something was amiss. He pulled over, rolled down the window, and called out, "Do you need help?" The woman nodded, her lips blue from the cold. "Oh. I was robbed. They took everything, money, phone. I don't know what to do." Her voice trembled, not just from the cold but also from shock. She explained that while shopping, she was followed and cornered by a group who took all her valuables. With no way to contact anyone and the police station too far away, she had been wandering, seeking help. Unfamiliar with the city, she was utterly lost in the sea of snow. Matthew listened in silence, a wave of sympathy washing over him. He knew all too well what it felt like to be at the end of one's rope. Life had not been kind to him, mounting bills, relentless workdays, and a constant fight to make ends meet. Yet, despite his own struggles, he couldn't turn his back on someone in need. "Get in, I'll take you and your child somewhere safe," he said warmly. The drive was quiet, filled only with the soft breathing of the child and the howling wind outside. Matthew concentrated on the road, his mind swimming with questions. Who was this woman? What had led her to such a predicament? But none of those questions mattered. All that mattered was ensuring their safety. When they arrived, the woman thanked him profusely and insisted on paying, but Matthew shook his head. "No need. I just did what anyone should." Her eyes welled with gratitude as they parted ways, unaware that this encounter would mark the beginning of an extraordinary journey. Days later, a phone call changed Matthew's life. The same woman, her voice now steady and confident, said, "Matthew, I'm the woman you helped that night. I want to meet you." She invited him to a small cafe, where she revealed her truth. She was not just any woman but a renowned author who had endured many trials to achieve success. She shared her life story, moments of despair, battles with loneliness and self-doubt. The recent robbery was but a small episode in a long string of hardships. Yet, Matthew's act of kindness had reignited her faith in humanity, something she thought she had lost forever. Moved by his compassion, she made an offer that stunned him. She pledged to cover his living expenses for life and invited him to work as a personal assistant at her sprawling estate. For Matthew, who had never dared dream beyond his cab's worn leather seat, this was beyond imagination. "You gave me hope when I needed it most. Now it's my turn to do the same for you," she said sincerely. For the first time in years, Matthew felt a profound sense of belonging and purpose. His life transformed. The estate became more than just a workplace, it was a sanctuary. He and Anna, as she introduced herself, grew close, sharing stories of their pasts. While she inspired him with tales of resilience, he offered her the grounded perspective of a man who had weathered life's storms. As the snow continued to fall outside the Grand Library's windows, they often reflected on how a single act of kindness could ripple outward, connecting lives in unimaginable ways. Their friendship blossomed, fueled by mutual respect and gratitude. Eventually, Anna established a charity in Matthew's honor, supporting struggling individuals in the city. Matthew, once a solitary taxi driver, became a symbol of compassion and hope. His story, intertwined with Anna's, proved that even the smallest acts of kindness could ignite profound change. Standing on the estate steps, watching the snow blanket the world in quiet beauty, Matthew understood a simple truth: life, like snowflakes, is made up of tiny, seemingly insignificant moments. But when they come together, they create something breathtaking. His journey had taken him from the desolation of cold nights to the warmth of meaningful connections. And it all began with a simple, heartfelt question: do you need help? As Matthew settled into his new role, his life began to align with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. Working for Anna was not just a job, it became a bridge to rediscovering his own potential and passions. The estate, with its sprawling gardens, intricate architecture, and a library filled with stories from around the world, offered a stark contrast to the monotony of his previous existence. Yet, despite the grandeur, it was the connection he shared with Anna that brought true meaning to his days. Anna, now comfortable sharing her vulnerabilities, began to see Matthew as more than an employee. To her, he was a kindred spirit, someone who had endured life's harshest storms yet remained compassionate. On quiet evenings, they often sat by the fireplace, exchanging stories of their pasts and dreams for the future. For Matthew, these moments were healing. They gave him a sense of belonging he had missed for so long. Anna's success as a writer was marked by her ability to capture raw human emotion, and she soon realized that Matthew's perspective was invaluable. "You see the world differently," she once said to him. "Through your eyes, there's a simplicity and authenticity that people crave." She encouraged Matthew to contribute to her work. Initially hesitant, he gradually began offering his thoughts on her drafts. His input, though unpolished, brought a layer of realism and humility that resonated deeply with readers. Over time, their collaboration evolved into a partnership. Anna insisted that he be credited as a co-creator in her upcoming book, a gesture that both humbled and inspired him. As their professional relationship deepened, so did their friendship. Matthew, once reserved and wary of the world, found himself opening up. He spoke about his late father, a man who had taught him the value of hard work and integrity. He shared stories of his struggles after his father's passing, how he had taken up the taxi job to support his family, and how, despite his efforts, life had remained relentlessly challenging. Anna, in turn, shared more about her early career, how she had faced rejection after rejection, and the loneliness of carving out her own path. "People see success and think it comes easy," she remarked one evening. "But they don't see the tears, the sleepless nights, and the sacrifices." With Anna's encouragement, Matthew began to dream beyond his current role. Inspired by the impact of the charity Anna had founded in his name, he proposed expanding its reach. "There are so many people out there like me," he said. "They just need a chance, a little kindness to get back on their feet." Anna wholeheartedly supported the idea. Together, they worked to grow the foundation, establishing programs that provided job training, housing assistance, and mental health resources for those in need. Matthew took on a leadership role, drawing from his own experiences to ensure the programs were practical and effective. The foundation became a beacon of hope in the community. Stories began to emerge of lives transformed: a single mother who found stable housing, a young man who learned a trade, an elderly couple who received medical care they couldn't afford. Each success story reinforced Matthew's belief in the power of compassion. Despite their achievements, challenges inevitably arose. Managing a growing foundation required navigating bureaucratic red tape and facing criticism from skeptics. At times, Matthew felt overwhelmed, questioning whether he was equipped for the responsibility. But Anna was always there, offering her unwavering support. "Remember why we started this," she reminded him during one particularly tough period. "It's not about perfection, it's about making a difference." Her words reignited his determination. Together, they tackled each obstacle, finding innovative solutions and rallying support from the community. Their efforts paid off, and the foundation flourished, becoming a model for grassroots social impact. Through it all, Matthew found himself rediscovering joy in the simple things: tending to the estate's garden, reading a good book by the fire, or sharing a meal with Anna. He no longer felt like a man defined by his struggles, he was someone who had weathered them and emerged stronger. One snowy evening, as they walked through the garden, Anna turned to him and said, "You know, if someone had told me a year ago that a random act of kindness would change my life, I wouldn't have believed them." Matthew smiled. "Neither would I." They paused, watching the snow fall softly around them. It was a moment of quiet reflection, a reminder of how far they had both come. For Matthew, the snow no longer symbolized isolation or hardship. Instead, it represented the beauty of connection and the possibilities that lay ahead. As the seasons changed, so did Matthew's life. He began to think about writing his own story, not just as a way to honor his journey, but to inspire others. With Anna's guidance, he started drafting a memoir, weaving together tales of resilience, kindness, and the unexpected twists of fate that had brought him to where he was. Anna, meanwhile, continued her work as a writer, but her focus shifted. Her new projects were deeply influenced by her experiences with Matthew and the Foundation. Together, they planned a series of books highlighting real-life stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Their partnership, born out of a single snowy night, had blossomed into something far greater than either of them could have imagined. It was a testament to the transformative power of kindness and the profound impact of human connection. As Matthew looked ahead, he felt a sense of peace and purpose. His life, once defined by struggle, had become a testament to hope. And while the snow continued to fall, blanketing the world in its quiet beauty, Matthew knew that, just like each unique snowflake, every small act of kindness had the power to create something truly extraordinary. As Matthew worked on his memoir, he found himself diving deeper into the moments that had shaped him. Writing was not easy, it required him to confront painful memories and reflect on his own vulnerabilities. But Anna's encouragement and guidance kept him focused. She often reminded him, "Your story isn't just about you. It's about showing others that they can rise above their struggles too." The memoir began to take shape, with each chapter reflecting a significant phase in Matthew's life. From his humble beginnings to his darkest days driving aimlessly through snowy nights, and finally, to the moment that changed everything. Writing became cathartic for him, a process that allowed him to make peace with his past and embrace the man he had become. When the manuscript was complete, Anna connected Matthew with her publisher, who immediately saw its potential. "This isn't just a memoir," the editor said during their first meeting. "It's a story of resilience, hope, and the kind of human connection the world desperately needs." The book's release was met with overwhelming acclaim. Readers from all walks of life resonated with Matthew's story, particularly his reflections on the transformative power of kindness. Overnight, Matthew found himself thrust into the spotlight. Invitations for interviews, public appearances, and speaking engagements poured in. At first, the attention felt overwhelming. Matthew had always been a quiet man, content to live in the background. But Anna helped him navigate this new chapter. "You've earned this," she said, "and your voice matters. People need to hear it." Matthew began accepting invitations to speak at events, sharing his journey with audiences large and small. Whether it was a community center or a prestigious literary festival, his message remained the same: kindness doesn't require wealth or power. It's the simplest gift we can give, and it has the power to change lives, sometimes even our own. His authenticity and humility won over countless hearts. He became a symbol of hope for those who felt forgotten or lost, proving that life's most profound changes often stem from the smallest actions. With the success of his book and the growing influence of their foundation, Matthew and Anna were able to expand their reach even further. They launched new initiatives focused on education, mental health, and financial literacy for underprivileged communities. One of their most impactful projects was a scholarship program for young people pursuing creative fields. Inspired by Anna's journey as a writer, the scholarships provided aspiring artists, writers, and musicians with the resources to follow their passions. Many recipients cited Matthew's story as the inspiration for their own determination to succeed. The foundation also established partnerships with local businesses and organizations, creating a network of support for those in need. Matthew, now a confident leader, worked tirelessly to ensure that every initiative stayed true to their mission, to uplift and empower the vulnerable. Years passed, and Matthew's life continued to evolve in ways he could never have imagined. The man who once navigated snowy streets in an aging taxi now traveled the world, sharing his message and working to spread kindness wherever he went. One winter evening, as he prepared for yet another speaking engagement, Matthew found himself reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. He looked out the window at the falling snow, and memories of that fateful night resurfaced: the desperation in the woman's eyes, the cold that seeped through the cracks of his cab, and the simple decision to stop and help. He realized that while his life had changed drastically, the core of who he was remained the same. He was still that man who believed in the power of kindness, still driven by a desire to make the world a little better, one small action at a time. That night, as he addressed a packed auditorium, Matthew concluded his speech with words that had come to define his journey. Each of us has the power to create change. It doesn't matter how big or small our actions are, what matters is that we act. Kindness is a ripple that spreads far beyond what we can see. So, I challenge you, go out into the world and be the start of someone's miracle. The audience erupted in applause, moved by his heartfelt message. As he stepped off the stage, Matthew felt a deep sense of fulfillment. His life had come full circle, from a man searching for purpose in the shadows of his struggles to someone who had found light and shared it with others. In the years that followed, Matthew and Anna's efforts continued to leave an indelible mark on the world. Their foundation became a global movement, inspiring others to create similar initiatives in their own communities. The memoir became a bestseller, translated into multiple languages and adapted into a film that brought Matthew's story to an even wider audience. Matthew remained humble throughout it all, always emphasizing that his achievements were the result of collective efforts and the kindness of others. He often said, "I didn't do this alone. None of us ever do. It's the connections we build and the compassion we show that make life worth living." By the time Matthew reached his twilight years, he had achieved more than he ever thought possible. But his greatest pride came not from awards or recognition, but from the countless lives his story had touched. One snowy evening, as he sat by the fire with Anna, now his closest friend and confidant, they looked back on their journey together. "It's amazing, isn't it?" Anna said. "How one small act can set so much in motion." Matthew nodded, a soft smile playing on his lips. "It's not the size of the act that matters. It's the heart behind it." Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the world in its quiet beauty. And for Matthew, the snow was no longer a symbol of struggle. It was a reminder of the night that had changed everything, a night when a simple act of kindness had lit the way to a brighter future. This story is a reminder that sometimes, the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact. Join us as we explore how compassion, human connection, and the willingness to help others can change lives and even entire worlds. Thank you for supporting us, see you in the next videos, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.